Hi everyone, I'm Sandra, Family and Community Health Sciences Educator for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Hunterdon County, and I'd like to welcome you to our last episode of Hunterdon County Farm to Fork for this year. But never fear, Megan and I will be back in the early spring to bring you a whole host of new episodes on locally grown produce. So I hope you caught Megan's very informative video about hazelnuts. Everything you ever wanted to know about the history of hazelnuts and where and how they're grown. So as Megan said, the bulk of the production of hazelnuts is in other parts of the world, in Turkey and in Italy, but hazelnuts are also grown in the US, primarily in Oregon. However, researchers at Rutgers University have been working on establishing varieties that will hopefully grow well right in New Jersey. So Megan did show you some plants that were grown at Snyder Research Farm in Hunterdon County. So I hope you, if you didn't tune into that video, definitely check it out on our Hunterdon County Facebook page. But today, what I would like to focus on is the nutrition of wonderful hazelnuts and also to show you how to roast them for really maximum flavor. So first of all, hazelnuts, including all nuts, are very nutritious foods. They have a very high fat content. Nuts in general are about 80% fat, but the quality of the fat in nuts is very desirable. It's mostly unsaturated fats, including polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats and omega-3 fatty acids. And all of these healthy types of fats have been shown to really support a very healthy cardiovascular system. Nuts in general can help keep your bad cholesterol, your LDL, lower, and your good cholesterol, your HDL, higher. They are also anti-inflammatory in the body, and they're just delicious additions to a very healthy diet. So we're going to talk a little bit about the nutrients in hazelnuts in particular and how hazelnuts compare to other nuts. So in the healthy fat category, hazelnuts, and here I have some raw nuts still in the shell that Megan gave me for my video. Hazelnuts actually have more monounsaturated fat compared to almonds and walnuts. So they're very high in monounsaturated fats. They're also a very good source of fiber. So about an ounce of nuts, including hazelnuts, provide about 2 grams of fiber. And this is a portion, I've measured this out. This is about an ounce of hazelnut. So you can see it's maybe, I don't know, about 20 hazelnuts. So it's not a very big portion, but they do pack a nutrition wallop. They're very nutritious. So good source of fiber, about 4 grams of protein in an ounce serving. So a good protein food as well, but also very high in all kinds of micronutrients. So nuts in general can be very healthy additions to the diet. The one downside is that because they are about 80% fat, they are also high in calories because fats have more calories per gram than the other macronutrients. So about an ounce of nuts can be about 170 or 180 calories. So the recommended guidelines are include them in a healthy diet, but be aware that they can contribute a lot of calories, so they really should be eaten in moderate portions. Okay, so again, hazelnuts, very high in the monounsaturated fats that are in particular help keep the HDL, the good cholesterol, high, which that's a good thing. So I have a bunch of different kinds or states of hazelnuts here. Like I said, I have the raw nuts, which would be right from the tree. I cracked a few of them to show you. It'll be a little hard to see on the video, but when you crack them with an old-fashioned nut cracker, they come out of the shell with a definite covering, like a little sheath, a little covering over them, which can be a little bit bitter. So when we roast our hazelnuts, we're going to use a really quick technique to get some of that outer covering off. So this is when they're cracked. These are how you might buy them right out of a bag. Oh, and I should mention, if you ever go to the store and you're confused because you can't find a bag of nuts that says hazelnuts, but you see something called filberts, that's another name for hazelnuts. So filberts and hazelnuts are the same nut. I think when I was doing my research, I found that filberts, that name came from the French, and hazelnuts came from the English. So filberts, hazelnuts, the same nut. So obviously I got these say filbert right on the wrapper. So when they come out of the bag like this, you see some of them have fewer skins or sheaths than others. They just sort of come off in the processing by rubbing against each other, but they still cling on. And then I roasted, which I'm going to show you how, I roasted some hazelnuts for a recipe that I will be making and that I will also post on the Hunterdon County website and share through our Facebook page. It's a special cookie recipe that I'm preparing for the holidays. I don't usually do dessert recipes in my videos, but I believe that all foods can be eaten and enjoyed in moderation, and a cookie or a treat as delicious as hazelnuts that also contain some good nutrition really can be enjoyed in moderation. So these I roasted in my oven and preparing for the video, and I used a technique to remove most, if not all, of the skins, and that will reduce the bitterness. So I will use these roasted hazelnuts in my cookie recipe. Okay, so what do they taste like? Well, I think everybody has different taste sensations, but I think hazelnuts have a sweet flavor, especially when the skins are removed. They're kind of buttery, crunchy. They also stand up very well to other ingredients, such as chocolate. So they're a really nice nut to include in your repertoire of nut recipes. So let's talk about roasting. So roasting nuts really enhances their natural flavor. It really does bring the flavor out to the front, and then in recipes, they're even more delicious. It's very easy to roast hazelnuts. So I used my bag of filbert / hazelnuts that I bought from the store rather than shelling all of these that Megan gave me. And all that I did was spread them out. So these would be raw from the bag. I'm not going to put too many out, but you can space them out nice and evenly on parchment paper on a baking sheet. You don't need to put any oil or anything on them. They have plenty of their own natural oils. And you're going to roast them in an oven that is either 275 or 300, depending on your oven. They should be roasted slowly, and they don't take a long time. You really do have to watch them. So they can get lightly brown. Very hard to see in this video. I'm too bad you guys really can't see it. But I roasted mine to like a golden brown color. You really have to watch it because they can go from golden brown to burned really quickly. So mine took, in my oven, I used 275. You want to take a spatula and turn them maybe every 3 or 4 minutes so that they're evenly brown and they don't burn. Mine took about, I would say 12 minutes in my oven. and I roasted them to a light golden brown. I didn't want to take any chances, and I really didn't need them to be any darker than this. You can definitely see the difference in color. They're more like a tan, darker tan color. Keep an eye on them, and then when they are nicely brown, golden brown, you can take them out of the oven. Now, if you notice on the ones that are on my pan, the skins are still clinging to them. So here's a trick to remove the skins really easily. Take a clean dish towel. Linen is really good, something that's not going to leave a fuzz or a fiber on the nuts. And all you have to do, I'm going to use my clean hands just to demonstrate. Now remember, these are not roasted. I would do this part after roasting them. All you do is wrap them in a towel, and then just roll them, move them, sort of just grab through the towel and kind of move them around, and then through friction and contact with each other in the towel, those outer skins will mostly be removed. Works much better on roasted hazelnuts. But anyway, you can even see on mine that some of those outer skins have been removed because they left a residue in my dish towel. But don't worry if you don't get all of them. Just try to get most of them. So 275 to 300, keep an eye on them. They won't need any more than 15, max 20 minutes. Even I think that's probably too long unless you have a very low oven. Turn them every 4 or 5 minutes to make sure they're evenly browning. Take them out. Don't let them burn because they will go fast. Take them out, let them sit a few minutes in the pan to cool just a little bit, and then try the magic dish towel method of removing those reddish brown skins. And sometimes if you still see some, you can kind of rub them right off with your finger. It's not a huge deal. Okay, so that's how to roast them. Now, the sky's the limit in how to use hazelnuts, just like with any nut. They're so versatile. They can go into, so many dishes. We can use them as toppings. We can use them in salads, certainly in baking. You can use them really anything. You can put them into, you can grind them into a meal and use that as part of a baked goods ingredients. Really, the sky's the limit. And you could just eat them as a snack, just the way they are, whether you like them raw or if you like them roasted. The sky's the limit. You can really enjoy them. Now, in storing them, nuts will store best the closer they are to the whole nut. So obviously these still in their shell will store a lot longer than shelled nuts or ground nuts. You can store these nuts at room temperature and nothing will happen to them. However, once you've removed their skins and if you have chopped them or ground them, then you've exposed their oils to the environment. And what can happen with foods that are high in fat, including nuts, is they can become rancid. And what that means is that all of those oils in the nuts have been oxidized, and that from environment, from light, from heat, and that gives the nuts that off flavor and taste. You may know what I'm talking about if you've ever had an old container of vegetable oil, let's say, that sat in your kitchen and maybe was in a sunny spot, and after several months or a year, you open it up and you can just smell an off taste, an off smell, and if you use that oil, it would just not quite taste right. It's not necessarily harmful, but it is less desirable and can be a negative thing to use in a recipe. So you can store your bagged nuts once they're open in the refrigerator. If you happen to grind up a lot, chop up a lot for, let's say, holiday baking, like this time of year, and you don't use them all, you can store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator for a couple of months, or in the freezer for much longer storage. But be aware that because of their high oil content, they sometimes have the tendency to pick up refrigerator odors, freezer odors, and things like that. So you really want to keep the air away from them. You need an airtight container. Okay, so we talked about all the different forms of hazelnuts. We talked about their awesome nutrition profile. The sky's the limit on how you want to include them. Health experts recommend between an ounce or an ounce and a half of nuts in your daily meal planning. So again, that's not too much. That's about this much, maybe, a couple or more. And you will benefit from all of those valuable unsaturated fats and micronutrients, fiber, protein that nuts can provide. So I will be preparing that special recipe that includes hazelnuts in the next couple of days, and I will post the recipe on our Hunterdon County Facebook page and probably also on our county website. I'm having fun with it. The recipe that I think I am shooting for will also have some Earl Grey tea in it, so it will have an additional beneficial compound besides the awesome hazelnuts. So that's the last episode of Hunterdon County Farm to Fork for this year. I hope you learned a lot about hazelnuts. I hope you do enjoy including them in your healthy diet. I invite you to keep looking for that awesome recipe that I will be developing and sharing soon. And like our county Facebook page, and you will then get notices when we resume with our Farm to Fork series in the early spring. So thank you for joining me today and for joining Megan as well. We've enjoyed bringing these episodes to you, and we look forward to bringing you a lot more in the new year. Take care, and we'll see you then.